Welcome back to the Live and Amplified Livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet. We are wrapping up day 3 here at CMA Fest. I say wrapping up and then watch. I get like 3 more interviews after this. You know, we got Amanda Kate Ferris. How's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Doing really well. I'm doing really well. It's been a good week. I'm happy with the trip out. So
awesome.
So you're from Texas, born and raised?
No, not born and raised.
Okay.
I was actually born in California. We moved to northern New Mexico, to Red River, New Mexico, when I was like, I want to say 4 or 5.
Okay.
We lived there, and then we moved back to California when I was in high school. But I feel like I've lived a little bit of a gypsy life. I've lived all over. Texas a few times, California, Nashville, Colorado for a bit. So a little bit of everywhere.
I loved it. I lived in New Mexico for about 4 years myself. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What part?
Roswell.
Okay. Yep.
I moved there on a dare. Somebody said I wouldn't do it, and I was like, okay.
Did you see any aliens?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Stop it.
Yes. I saw I guess not aliens. I thought I saw a spaceship.
You probably did.
So I'll tell this story really quick. So I was driving home one night on Sunset Boulevard, which is one of the semi-main streets. It's not really main street, but I was driving and it was night out. It was cool. So I had the windows open, music playing and all that stuff. And I look up and I see 3 rows of 3 lights just dangling up in the air. Like it was a perfect square, it looked out of order. And I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm like, oh, the Air Force is testing something, because like we have Holloman Air Force Base, not too far away, and like they're just testing something. And so I turn the music down and I start listening, and I'm like, I don't hear like anything flying, but those lights are moving relatively slow, yes, but they're moving. And I tried to make sense of it, and the only thing I can come up with was it was a spaceship.
No, it probably was, and the government's already come out and said that aliens are real. So, this whole time we thought it was all, make believe, but no, they're definitely real.
Oh, 100%. I 100% agree. So you've been all over. You moved from California, Texas, New Mexico, all that fun stuff. Where does music kind of come into play? Who introduced you,
Yeah, so it's interesting. I grew up with a mother who was a singer-songwriter. So my mom, when she was young, she toured with Bob Hope and was on the Dean Martin show and toured with Dean Martin. And so she had just a really incredible story on her own. And I think it was just only natural that I'd end up in music with a musical family. My grandmother's a classically trained pianist. Nice. And so I started singing professionally at like 14, with her. And so it was just, music is really, I don't have a single memory. Yeah. I really don't have a memory without music.
Fair. Was it always country music, or was it kind of like just trying different things as you kind of go through life?
Yeah, I think country is what I grew up singing. So at 2 years old, my mom said that I came out with I was singing with a twang and a little bit of a growl in my voice, like Winona from the jump.
That's
but
fair.
I tried to do the pop thing. I was living in LA, and at the time, when I was like 18, I ended up getting signed to like a small pop label that essentially they were trying to have me sing. Kelly Clarkson was really big at the time. Okay. And but everything I'd sing, they'd be like, "Can you sing that? But make it not sound country." And I couldn't take it. I just couldn't take it out of my voice. It didn't matter what I would sing. People are like, "You sound like a country singer," and my mom was just always, laughing because she's like, "Yeah, that's just you came out singing that way." Yeah. And so country, I tried the pop thing for a very short, it was maybe a year, but country really has always been my genre for sure. For sure.
It's kind of funny now you think about it, like how much pop music is really influenced by country music.
It's so wild. I mean, my style obviously is very traditional, and that's the kind of music that I grew up listening to is traditional country. But it is wild, like pop. But when you listen to pop radio and country radio, sometimes it's hard to know what you're listening to because it all kinds of sounds the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So, growing up in a very musical family, and then knowing very young what you wanted to do or what you were destined to do, or, like however you want to phrase it. Who were you listening to at that time? Was it as far as like influences go? Like who were some of your, like, I know you'd mentioned your pop career and trying to do Kelly Clarkson stuff without the country, but like who are some of your influences like once you made the full commitment to like especially country?
Honestly, my biggest influence was my mom. Like my mom wrote music for me from a very young age, so I always had I don't know, such an influence from her. But vocally, I've always loved just big singers, you know, Martina and Faith and Winona, you know, but I love Celine Dion. You know, my mom always told me you need to listen to vocalists that can help you be a better singer. And you pick the things that you like from them and you keep those, but always trying to make sure that I had my own sound. And I think I'm really thankful for that, you know, now, because it's so hard. Sometimes it's easy to mimic, you know, your sound. You try without even knowing you're doing it, you're mimicking another sound. But my mom was always really adamant about, no, like you're gonna write your own songs. I'm gonna write songs for you too, and
to help you.
But I've always loved a really strong vocalist.
I think that's a really cool thing about the industry right now is a lot of musicians that were from like the 80s all the way on up. They grew up in families that were so eclectic with the music that they listened to. And yes, they stick to like yourself. You were very drawn to country, but you weren't afraid to go listen to, you know, all these powerful singers, even though they're maybe not country, and just kind of finding an authentic representation, but working it into a genre you really like.
I always say, like, I wish I could say, you know, like, oh, my biggest influence was Tammy Wynette, you know. But truth be told, honestly, I love a really strong singer. And my mom, you know, my mom listened to a lot of Alison Krauss, you know, in the house, and that rhymes, Alison Krauss in the house. But she also loved Whitney Houston. You know, she's like, if you want to really learn how to control your voice, and you need to listen to these singers who are the best in the business.
Absolutely.
And so I'm definitely thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So where are you kind of at with music right now? Are you writing, recording, releasing? Where are you kind of at?
Yeah, we're getting ready to release my next album in July,
Nice.
and so I'm really excited about that. But you know, that the music, we've been sitting on that for a couple of years, and so I'm happy to finally have it out. But now we're back, you know, in the studio. We just, you know, I was writing just the other day for the next project. Nice. So this one's going to be coming out, which means I got to get ready for the next one. So we're back in the creative mode. Just, you know, writing, listening to songs that have been pitched to me, and just, you know, get back in the pre-production mode.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd mentioned that this upcoming release has been in the making for a few years. What was it about now that you felt like it was either ready or it was time to put it out?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest delay was just we track everything here in Nashville. And I obviously live in Texas. So it took a long time for vocals, because I kept coming to here and going back and forth. And I was really overly, I don't want to say overly picky, but I just wanted it to be right. And so everything from the vocals to certain guitar things I wanted redone, and the mixes we went through. I don't even know how many versions of the mix. But it wasn't ready. And it's just like, now it's like, okay, the mixes are all right. The creative too. I want to make sure that the imagery matches the, you know, the overall tone and feel of the album. And it's taken a lot longer than I wanted it to, but I'm happy that it's going to be right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think there's a fine line between being right and it being perfect. And I think once you kind of straddle that line of, okay, it's not perfect, but it's right.
And that's the thing. I don't think it's this one. I don't know if it'll ever be perfect. I don't know if I'll ever be 100% like, oh, like this is, it's 100% perfection, you know? But I'm comfortable with it getting out there, and I'm proud of it. And so that's kind of where my gauge is like, okay, if this is the last album that you ever get to do, like, are you going to be proud of this? In 20 years, you're going to listen back and be like, wow, this was a great record. And I feel that way. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. So looking into the creative process, when you're like in the mode of writing, do you find yourself just writing a whole bunch of songs and then just kind of picking what makes the album, or do you find yourself like, hey, I want an album about XYZ, So I'm going to specifically write 12 songs for this album.
Yeah, this one was different because I pulled a lot of outside songs.
Okay.
So I kind of say the George Strait method, where just pulling the best songs. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a record of, an album full of songs that each one could stand on its own, and not necessarily a theme for the musical theme. But every single song, I just was like, okay, the best songs have to win on this next project. Where previous projects, I feel like I was more, like you said, I just was like, oh, like this fits the album, sure. But this one, it is just every single song they're so good. And not just because I'm singing them, like the demos were good when I got them, and so I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. It's always kind of interesting to look at the approach, especially when it comes to releasing a fuller project, because there's definitely several different ways, as I'm sure you're aware. It's like, oh, I've got 80 songs in the pot, but I want to put an album out, so which one of these 80 songs, and you just kind of cherry pick. Or you could specifically write for the album, or, so it's always just kind of an interesting conversation to have.
I think the next record will probably be a lot more personal than this one. This one, I feel like I intentionally wanted it to, there's obviously very personal songs on it, but it's not, the entire thing isn't just about me. You know what I mean? The stories that I'm telling aren't my stories, I'm telling a story, but not necessarily about me. Where this next project, the next album will probably be a lot more personal, just because that's kind of where I'm at. But they're always different.
Nice. That's really cool. So before we wrap this up here, because I don't want to take too much more of your time, outside of music, what do you like to get into in Texas when you're back home?
When I'm at home, I'm always with, I'm mom. So my little one, I've got a little girl. And if we're not doing music, we're probably at the ranch, just, taking care of horses, hanging out with cows. So just kind of living that ranch life. But I love just being home, Summertime in Texas, it's real hot. So we spend a lot of time in the pool. Just kind of hanging out, and the town we live in is pretty small, and so it's very casual and not very glamorous at all.
Fair enough. So before we wrap this up, the one thing I've been asking anybody from Texas, what is your Whataburger order?
Jalapeno cheeseburger.
Fair. Nice.
Diet Dr. Pepper, French fries. And honestly, I don't know if I've ever had anything else.
Okay.
I'll eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Fair enough. It's funny. Like, I moved to Waco, and everybody's like, "Okay, we got to get you hooked on Dr. Pepper," and I'm like, "No, I don't like Dr. Pepper," and they're like, "You're gonna get ran right out of this city." And I'm like, because Waco's. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I don't care. I'm not drinking Dr. Pepper. You can't make me. So.
I don't like regular Dr. Pepper. I only like Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. I
don't know what it is. But if you've the Dr. Pepper shake at Whataburger, I was hesitant at first because I was like, oh, that sounds weird. But it's actually pretty good.
Is it? All right. I might have to check that out then. But if anybody wants to check out the upcoming album, anything else you got going on, where's the best place to find you?
Yes, AmandaKateFerris.com, or you can Google Amanda Kate Ferris, and all my socials will pop up. I'm really active on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, so any social channel that you use, I have a profile for it. The only one I'm not good at is Twitter, so don't message me on Twitter because I probably won't see it.
Do you use Threads at all? Have you gotten onto that?
Yes, but I'm not good at that one either.
Okay, fair enough.
I think my Instagram automatically feeds over to Threads.
Okay, gotcha.
I think.
Fair.
So, but yeah, there's too many.
Yeah.
There's too many,
I try and be good at all of it, usually it's Threads and Twitter that just kind of fall to the wayside, and it's like, I'm good. So.
Yeah, I like video content and visual content. So.
Yeah, I love Instagram. Instagram's kind of the jam right now. So, but. Once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
I really appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will catch you all later.